Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy StumpD back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we're taking the new Onigashima Luffy into the Forest of Training Magnates. So this is the team, these are the supports. Let's dive in. Alright, so we're over here on stage 12, and we come up against the Fire Tank Pirates, Capone, Vito, and Grotty. Now, before we start this Forest run, this is not the most optimal team for this Forest. Like, obviously, if you have Verse Ace, use Verse Ace as your captain. He's just going to do it so much better. You can get around the special reverse on the Kid Pirate stage. You can have, like, a friend captain Ace. That way you can get the extra verse ability. While the super typing of Luffy's really nice, you really don't need two of them, like, at all. Like, having two verse abilities at Ace is actually just going to be way more beneficial. So you can actually just run this exact same team, but then just bring, like, a friend captain versus Ace. And you're just going to do it way nicer. But this is Luffy's video, so we are using double Luffy. And we are bringing in the new Reiju as well. With the release of the new Anniversary Girls, Reiju's actually really good. Her and Rebecca, in my opinion, are pretty equal in terms of, like, what they actually do. But Reiju's heal is actually so clutch for this particular Forest. As well as extending the Orb Boost, which is quite nice as well. But once we hit the Heroic stage, I actually use the versatility of Verse Ace here. Now, I would highly recommend saving that versatility. You don't need to get the conditional boost. And ideally, what you want to do is you really want to hang on to that versatility for the next stage when we come up against the Kid Pirates. But I'll explain that there. But as I was talking about, the notable supports for this particular team is Whitebeard on your Verse Ace, and having some sort of way of getting at least 1 to 2 turns of cooldown on your Luffy, your Captain Luffy. Now, I'm using Brule, but you can also use, like, the Anniversary Nami, the one that came out last anniversary with the super typings of Luffy, Katakuri, and like that batch. She also gives 1 turn of cooldown on the final stage. Basically, as long as you can get cooldown on the final stage, you are going to be hunky-dory. Once we hit the stage against the Kid Pirates, this is where things get a little bit tricky. They have a 2-turn strength barrier on Heat, and then there's a 2-turn int barrier on the bug-looking guy. I cannot remember his name. But with the barrier pen of Ace and Usohachi, we can actually get around this. Now, this is where you really want to have the versatility of Ace ready, because Luffy makes it easier to land on recovery orbs. If you have the versatility of Ace, you can actually turn those recovery orbs into strength orbs, which means you can easily take out Heat on the second turn, usually. But as you can see, with Barrier Pen as well, you can easily do enough damage, provided you have Barrier Pen maxed on those 2 units. Now, this particular team, there is a lot of, like, Limit Break keyed characters, and it is very slim in terms of, the, like, the HP and stuff. So, I do have this support of Judge on, my Usohachi for color affinity on the final stage, but it's really not essential at all. I would highly recommend having a stat booster that gives more HP or more recovery, so then that way when you are getting these meat orbs from Luffy, you can heal up nicely. Once we take out Heat and the barrier's gone on the bug looking guy, he's going to roll our specials back to the start. But the beautiful thing about Usohachi is he's actually immune to special reverse by like 3 turns or something like that. You can just basically use meat orbs here, slowly wheeling him down. When you hit to the 2-turn cooldown on Usohachi, we are going to move on. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit, and I'll see you there. Alright, so we are on the 2-turn cooldown of Usohachi. Like I said, try and eat any meat orbs along the way. You will do a little bit of damage as this team has high damage output, but just be mindful of how much damage you are doing. You just need to make sure you have your Usohachi special ready to go once you hit this killer stage. Once we hit the killer stage, he has 5 turns of damage reduction, but he isn't immune to anything, or besides poison, so you can actually delay him here, and Usohachi is just an absolute god for this particular stage, because you can delay him by 2 turns, you can take 3 turns to take him out, and you don't have to worry about that counter mechanic, and you can stall out the 1 special, like, turn, which is just awesome. You can use this time to get some meat orbs back, and because Luffy actually heals when you hit perfects, it works really nicely, as you can just sort of like get back some of that juicy HP, do a lot of damage to Killer, as well as take him out in the 3 turns. Even with some bad orb rolls, like, you will be okay. As you can see here, we actually take him out with like 1 character to spare. But if you like really need to, I guess you could pop like a special, but I would just highly recommend just trying to take him out with normal attacks. So that's where like Limit Break Key may be essential. Once you hit Big Mom, you may need to reload the game. If Lucy gets binded, you will need to like reload, and that way just get to the point where he doesn't. You need to be fast though, so make sure you do it very quickly. Otherwise, when you come back into the game, Lucy will actually be binded once again. So as soon as you see the bind hit Lucy, you just need to close the app, reload the app, and you will be hunky-dory. So once we come back in, Big Mom is going to bind 2 random units once again. This time she didn't bind our Lucy, which is great. And we just have enough cooldowns to get Lucy's special ready to go. Lucy's not only going to remove the bind, but he's actually going to give us a full board of orbs as well through the block orbs. We're then going to use a super typing of Luffy here, so we can actually get a lot more damage output on Big Mom. And that way we can take out Big Mom with our normal attacks. Just remember too that Luffy's not actually getting the buff from the Lucy special, so it's very important that you actually utilize your strength units or prioritize your strength units last, as we do have that chain buff mechanic, and Ace is just going to be hitting really hard. Once we hit the next stage against Basil Hawkins, X-Drake, and Page 1, this is where things get a little bit janky. We want to try and get the chain lock of Ace. Now, I got very lucky here, and I actually got a strength orb on my Luffy, but if you actually get a recovery orb, and Luffy makes it easier to get recovery orbs, as well as a T&D orb, I'm pretty sure, you can actually use the verse ability of Ace here to rotate them into strength orbs. We are going to use the Ace special here to get the chain lock as well as the orb buff. We're going to remove the defense up that Hawkins puts up with the Reiju special, and then we're going to use the super typing of Luffy. Now, I'm not 100% certain how essential that super typing of Luffy actually is. As you can see here, like, we do enough damage to, like, absolutely decimate this stage. Ideally, you want to make sure you take out Basil Hawkins, and you want to try and take out Page 1 as well. We're then going to take the next 2 turns to take out X-Drake. So this is what I mean by, like, not really needing the super typing of Luffy. And if you don't need the super typing of Luffy here, you can bring that back later, as that'll help you with those cooldowns on the final stage if you're missing something like Brûlé, all those supports that I was talking about. Once the 3rd turn comes around, we are going to take out X-Drake. Very important that we stall out the remove sound effects on this particular stage. Hawkins gives us 3 turns of that. So that's where the Aura Jackson is absolutely god tier. Once we hit the next stage against King, though, King's going to put up 3 turns of damage reduction and threshold. The reason we wanted to stall on X-Drake there is so we can actually get our Usohachi special. With the support of Whitebeard, we can remove the Despair, and then with the Usohachi special, we can get around the damage reduction and the threshold. Now, because I didn't need to use the versatility of Ace, I actually used the versatility of Ace here. Now, that actually is a little bit of a detriment to me, namely because I actually take out King in 1 turn. Ideally, you don't really want to take him out in 1 turn, purely because your ship is still blinded. You really want to try and take at least like 2 turns there, and if you can get the versatility of Ace off, it is just going to work very nicely. Once again, as I mentioned, this particular team is not exactly the most optimal team, and if you do have 2 verse Aces, you are going to be able to take that at stage out with like relative ease. Once we hit the next stage against Kaido, Kaido is going to be immune to side damage, and he doesn't have burn just yet, so we are going to use the special of our Luffy character. Now, if you actually stalled an extra turn on the King stage, or you stalled 2 turns on that King stage, you'd actually have, like, you only need to stall 1 turn. You'd actually have your Lucy special ready to go. What you can do then is use the Lucy special. Lucy's going to remove the burn, but ideally, because we still have, and your ship will be back as well, so you can hit perfects easier. So that way you can remove the burn, you can get that attack boost from Lucy, and you can do a lot more damage on this particular stage. Then you'll only have like a little bit of HP, as you can see there. Like, Kaido will have like hit you fairly hard, but then you'll have the Reiju special back on this turn as well, and then that way you can actually use the Reiju special to heal back up, which is really nice. Plus, Luffy makes it easier to land on meat orbs. You have pinch healing as well, because we do remove the burn, and it all works really nicely. So once we've hit the next turn, we can use Reiju to heal back up. But just remember, now we have the burn, and now we have the Aura Jackson. So you do need to be very careful when you are hitting here, as hitting greats is great and all, no pun intended, but you are going to lose significant damage when it comes to killing Kaido. Now, ideally, you want to make sure that you get that Verse Ace special back, and you should be able to take Kaido out on this particular turn, provided you can hit your greats. I hit a couple of goods here, so, like, I do lose a lot of damage. But the beautiful thing is, like I said, Luffy drastically, or he doesn't drastically, he increases the chance of you guys landing on recovery orbs. So even with like 1 recovery orb, if you do have the 2 Luffys going, like, you are going to be fine. But as I mentioned, if you are running a friend versus Ace, you can use the versatility of Ace, you can use his special, you get a full board of orbs, you get 2 turns of orb buff. It just works really nicely on this stage, like, because you can just output so much damage with that Lucy special as well. Once we hit the final stage against Kid, he is going to give us a full board of block orbs, which we do rotate with the Brûlé special. Brûlé is just there so we can get our cooldown of Luffy, so very important that you use your Luffy special first before you use your friend captain Luffy special, if you are running 2 of them. And then we can use the Verse A special to give ourselves a conditional boost. We have an attack boost with Luffy, we have color affinity with Judge, and then we have an orb buff with ace. As I mentioned, though, you really don't need this color affinity buff. As you can see, we do so much goddamn damage that we don't even have the chain lock and we are hunky-dory. So make sure to put a support on Usahachi that's going to give you either more HP or more recovery to make the run a little bit nicer if you do want to try this team. But like I said, it's not the most optimal team, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video nonetheless. If you guys did, make sure to go in there and belt the like button for me if you're new to the channel too. Hit that big red subscribe button. But guys, wherever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Lates!